Jess Garrity. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the September asthma peak, what that looks like, and just more about it. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
So September is actually asthma peak season, which you wouldn't think it would be because when we think about allergies, we think about springtime. Why does this time of year hit kids the hardest, and what are the lookout signs that parents and teachers should be keeping an eye out for?
Sure. So September is, quite a peak time. We see over 300% increase in ER and hospital admissions for kids in asthma between August and September. So the weather's changing, kids are going back to school, illnesses are being shared. They might have gotten out of their routine over the summer. So once that temperature change hits, we're back with all the other kids. We definitely see a spike there. Some things that parents and teachers would want to look out for is any sort of shortness of breath, any sort of wheezing, excessive coughing, any complaints of tightness in the chest. We might want to make sure that they are checked out properly, see their doctor for their annual checkup, or if it's more urgent than that, get them somewhere a little bit quicker for treatment. But those are some of the symptoms that you could see around this time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned kids getting out of their routines, maybe not taking their medication as regularly. How can doctors and families catch that early and get them back into the right route for September and for the school season?
Absolutely. So, definitely seeing your doctor for those annual visits. And what we're here to talk about partially today is pheno testing. So, there is a test called pheno, fractional exhaled nitric oxide. What this test is looking for is inflammation in the airways. And this can help us catch some of those asthma attacks or exacerbations prior to that happening. So, it can help us look at underlying inflammation. Like I said, when these kids get out of their routine, they're not taking their meds as normal because they're not waking up and going to bed at the same time. They can get off those controller medication routines. And when we look at our pheno scores, that will show us an objective piece of data that says, hey, that medication is either not being taken properly or it's not working anymore. So it helps us have a nice conversation with parents that shows them, hey, we're not just accusing you or your child about not taking your medications properly. We're seeing some numbers that are concerning to us, and we want to get this under control before it becomes a problem.
Right. And, pheno testing is not new, but very, very important. Can you just speak a little bit more as to how these simple tests can manage asthma in a new way?
Absolutely. So, yeah, like you mentioned, it's not new in terms of the technology or the science, but it may be new to your viewers as patients or parents of patients. And it is a very simple test. So, tests like this, it is a non invasive test. It's as simple as breathing in for a couple of seconds, breathing out for a couple of seconds, and then we're able to analyze a number in just about a minute. And what we're looking at there is the higher the numbers, the higher the pheno, which means the higher levels of inflammation. And that can help us get to an asthma diagnosis more quickly and get us to the proper treatment more quickly. So we're not going to be doing as much guesswork. It is an objective piece of data that we can look at and make a decision in the moment.
Right. And so, big picture, growing up, you have asthma and you were in and out of hospitals and doctors. How does monitoring and day-to-day management ease this burden on patients, kids, and parents and teachers?
For sure, yes. So I spent many a Halloween in the hospital for sure when I was younger, and pheno testing wasn't available at that time when I was a little bit younger. So the what we say about asthma is there's not one thing that is going to give us a hard and fast answer, yes or no. Pheno is a piece of the bigger puzzle with our asthmatic patients and a very important picture. We want to hear what they're feeling. We want to look at them. We want to listen to them. We want to look at their obstructive process, like their spirometry. We want to look at their peak flows. And when we can add in another piece of testing, we can help curb some of those urgent visits, those ER visits, by talking about diagnosis and management. We want both pieces of the puzzle. So if we can get them the proper diagnosis, the proper meds, the proper education on utilizing those meds, they should have a better quality of life and not be, sidelined in their fall soccer or, spending their weekends in the hospital because the leaves are starting to fall. It's a very nice proactive measure to make sure that we're giving these kids and adults the best chance at a good quality of life.
Finally, what's your key message for parents and schools and clinicians this season? What can families do to do more?
Just be aware, if you are noticing your child slowing down a little bit, complaining about feeling a little short of breath, reaching for their rescue inhaler consistently, finding themselves at the school nurse pretty often, get into the doctor. There's no reason for kids to be suffering from asthma at this point in time. There's plenty of testing, testing included. There's testing that can help us. There's proper medications, there's inhalers, there's biologics. So there's no need for kids to be suffering through this fall season. We want to get them seen. We want to get them tested. We want to get them on that medication and back to living their carefree kid life as much as possible.
Absolutely, as they should. Could you tell our viewers where they can learn more about pheno testing?
Sure. There's a great website it's called phenoforme.com. I believe you all will be linking that. And then the second best option, if you're ready to talk to your provider, either a primary care pediatrician or a specialist, they should be able to give you some more information and lead you to that testing in their office.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jess, for joining us, a Massachusetts native, joining us from South Carolina, spreading all of this fantastic information about asthma and prevention. So thank you so much, Jess.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.